Connecting. Okay, we should be recording now, so anything you say can and will be used against you for the next couple of weeks in jokes. All right. Do you want to start off with anything? You want me to just launch in, Gina?
No, I think I just want to say this should be a fairly quick demonstration, and we only want to concern everybody on the line here with what you're going to be able to, what you have to see, what you have to do when you're in the system, and that's about it. Any other questions or any other kind of, anything else you really don't need to be concerned about. If you ever have any questions about anything, feel free to ask. But this is basically just so you can look at applications, resumes, review things, try to get someone in on a position that you have posted. So we'll try to make it short and sweet.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
So Gina proposed a list of things that we covered today, which match pretty much what I was thinking would be good. So in short, what we're going to cover, other than just showing you what your new site will look like for your applicants, is we're going to log in with the same type of login that you have, and I'll also show you what it will look like when you get a notification that someone has applied in your business area or business areas, if you have access to more than one. So we'll go to the email first to show you what it looks like to go in and review the application and update the status or put in notes. And then Gina will probably cover what or when you ought to archive anybody. And then toward the end, I'll go through and show you a little bit the applicant experience, just so you'll have that as a frame of reference for what your applicants are seeing and doing. May help you a little bit when you see what you're getting as far as applicants. Sound good?
Yep.
All right. So let me flip over first. Okay, so morning applied to this job listing, and I was set up, as was Gina, to receive a notification. So for your given job listing, you're likely to see the two of you and Gina, plus potentially others that receive a notification when someone applies. So this is a difference from iApplicants in that there you were getting the full application in the body of the email, and that is really a practice that's not, I guess, as correct as it used to be with people's data confidentiality concerns and the potential that someone may disclose salary information or other information, and you can't really tell with that process who has looked at the application and when. With this process, this new system, you will be able to tell who's viewed the application and know with pretty good confidence it's not just being emailed around to anybody. All right. So assuming I'm a manager similar to you and someone applied to my job, let's say this is my job, my business area, then I get this and I can click on the link to go in, and I'm actually not going to be that. I'm going to be, yeah, so this is my login. So Gina, if she's not shared your login with you, it's your username is going to be your email address, and the password is Triad. Is that right?
Correct. Lowercase.
Okay. Yeah, all lowercase. So I'm going to go ahead and mine's different than yours, but so I'm going to log in then to take a look at the application. And so you saw that it told me before it's an application for a sample for this job. The very first thing I note is that he's also applied for a previous job. Usually you won't have people who have applied for previous jobs, but it's possible. So if you see that they applied for a previous job, this number here, by the way, can be used for scoring. So for instance, if it's an existing employee, you'll see a large number of that. I think 100 is what you'll see. Or if there's points associated with their responses to screening questions, then you could see some larger point totals here. So that's what that is. And I can see the status of that prior application. So for this one, they didn't meet the criteria, so it makes you wonder actually if they're going to meet the criteria for practice leader. And I can see the notes. In this case, I can see that Richard Payton put in a note on that date saying it's just a test app. All right, so if there were multiple notes there, you'd be able to see it. I don't have with this login access to go in and view that application because it's not in my business area. So it's in a different business area than mine, and if it were in mine, I could click on it and open up that application. If I click on this, it's going to take me to where I can put in a username and password that will access it. I don't have that, so I'm not going to click on it. So let's just review the application we do have. Very first thing I see is, of course, the date of the application. This is where the application indicated that they came from. Potentially from some sites it will be auto-filled. So a lot of what you're going to see is Indeed, largest website, largest job site in the U.S. And so you may not have realized it to date, but that's where most of your applicants are coming from is Indeed. It could be, of course, from your site or others. So you've got the full application here. And if you want to go straight to the job screening questions or other sections, you can, or you can scroll down. You can preview the application, or you can download it and walk through and review the entire application. So that's kind of the short and simple. You can go to any section you want. If you did want to see, well, who else has looked at it, or has Gina looked at this application, you can click on Actions, and you can see who's looked at it when. In this case, Gina's not looked at this one, but you recognize this login, that's me. So I've been all over this one. If you did want to, if you want to add a note, then you just click here. You can add a note that explains why you're changing the status to whatever you're changing it to if you want. So I could change the status here, have a note that explains why. And if I don't want managers from other areas, actually this probably isn't going to do so much for you. So I wouldn't worry about keeping it private. If you have your own scoring system that you want to use, so for your jobs, if you want to put in, A, B, C, or 1 through 10 type scoring, you could always do that if you want. It'll be included. So your option on that. If you're not needing to add a note, you just want to update the status, then you've got a drop-down list of the statuses that are available for you. Those that are grayed out are not available for you to use. These others are. So if you need to change the status to one of these, then you might want to check with Gina about getting it changed to that or giving you access to change it to that. All right, then Actions is where the rest of your options, or pretty much most of the rest of your options, are going to be. So if you click on Actions, then you can actually calendar the event. You can set it up to where you actually push it onto your Outlook calendar. You can, if you did want to forward it to someone else, because maybe someone in another business unit might have an interest in this, or actually someone else in your business unit more likely. You can spotlight it, which is another way of sending an email, but also having it when they log into the system noted as an application that you've spotlighted you think is of particular interest for them. You can email the applicant either from here, or you can just click on their email address, and there are email templates that are available that you can use. In fact, that's the only messages you can send. You can edit any of those. So if well, let me do it from here actually. So if I go in and select an email template, so let's say it is the, well, let's do a better one. Let's be positive here.
There are no positives yet. Yeah, let's say we didn't want to hire this person, but we said, hey, maybe in the future. So use the invitation to apply in the future one.
Yeah. So this is the text of what's available already. All of these are auto-fills. So should you want to have you could more quickly, in the case of this, just type it in yourself, I would imagine. But this is the text. You can edit this. You can edit the subject line. And if you want them to see your email address at the bottom of the email, it won't come from you, but it will reference that it actually originated from you if you put your email address here. And then this is just the template name. So for posterity, you'll have it indicated as this unless you change it to something else. Then when you click Send Email, off it goes. And it will be noted so that underneath Actions, you'll actually see that an email was sent on this date, and you can actually click to open it and view what email message was sent out to that applicant. If you are wanting to print the application, you can go here. I would recommend at least starting here. Select your most common items. That may be all the stuff you want. Maybe you don't need a signature line. If you don't need to get a physical signature from the applicant, then you can go to preview and then you can print it from there. Okay, so technically if you've got a PDF printer that you wanted to store it off that way in a printer-friendly format, you could, or you could just print it to an actual printer. You'll note that as a manager, I've got for this job 2 people who applied. We're looking at the application for Bubba Sample, but we could just pop over to the next and the next and the next if there were others here and view theirs as well. So who knew John Wayne would apply from beyond? So anyway, that's how you can go from one application to another. Show you a couple of other things here, and then we're actually pretty close to being done, unless, I mean, I can open it up for questions, and of course I'll show you the applicant side of it. So if you go to jobs, you can see the jobs that you have access to. You can see how many applications are or have been received on each of those, and you actually have a couple of reports. So if you want to see, so let's say that after a time you've got, I don't know, 10, 20, 30 applications, you want to see how many of them are sitting at what status level. You can run the status report, or if you want to see what sources did all of your visitors to this job listing, not just applicants, but visitors, where did they all come from, then you can see that. So let's say that you're that on a job you've decided to push it out to some engineering site or a career builder or Indeed sponsored or LinkedIn or something, and you want to see if that's really paying off, then you can see where your sources are. Actually, there's not much on this one because both of these demo applications indicated they came from your site, but this is more or less what it would be. And it actually shows you the success of those, whether they were hired or whatever the case may be. Mm-hmm. All right. I will point out one more thing, that if you click on applicants, so we came straight into the application, but if we click on applicants, you can see a dashboard of the job listings that you have access to. So I can see over the past 30 days, I can extend that out further. I can look at not just active, but also archived applicants if I want from this view. But I can tell, in this case, it recognized me as coming in here twice, apparently. You can see how many unique people have viewed this job listing. Of those, how many started it, how many completed it, how many met the basic qualifications. For this job, there's only one qualification, that's that you're able to work legally in the U.S. Had either of these applicants answered no to that question, then this would be a 1. 2 people applied, only 1 met the basic qualifications. If you have some of the requirements for your job listing that you really want to be disqualifiers, so if someone does not have a degree, they don't have a certification, they don't have years of experience, whatever it might be, then you can work with Gina to set up screening questions that she can set as disqualifiers. So you won't have to review those applications. The system will automatically give them a status of does not meet minimum qualifications, and it'll be one less application sitting in this no status yet field. All right, so this is your workload right now for anyone that has this business unit. The only other things I'll mention are that underneath help, you do have a chat window, and you have some FAQs, which I don't anticipate you'll need to use really either of those too much, but they are available. You can search for applicants by name, email, phone number, also by keyword. So this is a quasi-Boolean search, so you can use wildcard characters. It's looking for any applications that meet all of your criteria. So if you're putting in a phone number, don't put in any dashes or anything like that, just numbers only. If you're putting in keywords, know that if you're looking for, let's say, mechanical engineer, it's only going to pull up applications that have both the words mechanical and engineer. All right, so it's an exclusive, if you will, search. I won't worry about that. You can actually bookmark pages. That's search again. I mentioned the spotlight. You'd have a little red blob up here with a number inside of it if someone had spotlight applications for you. You could click here to go and view what events you've scheduled. And basically underneath here is how you can log out or change your password if you want. Might open it up or just ask real quick if anyone has any questions.
I have a
question.
Not,
then
I do have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So if you go back to where the applicants were, where the applications are, go back to that screen.
Okay. Well,
back
just go ahead. Okay.
And so you want to set a status.
Oh, right.
Okay. So you want to go to, who are you setting it for?
Oh, actually, let me go in so I can add a note at the same time. May as well show that. So I'm on Bubba Samples application.
Okay. So you want to add a did we add a status to him? No. Okay.
Not yet. So I could add it either up here. I could just select one and click on it.
Or you could add a note and then select a status.
Yeah. So
once you select a status, and you can select whatever you want, is it automatically archived?
It's not automatically archived. Thank you for bringing that up.
What's that?
Yeah, thanks for bringing that up. Okay, so I can click on archive here. So if this is someone who, now let me point out actually something real fast here. I don't know what your policy is on sending out thanks but no thanks emails, for instance. So you could, if you want to do it all as a group, once you figured out who you want to hire, you could go ahead and archive this applicant at this point. And maybe you should talk about what you think is a good overall guideline for when you archive and when you don't. If you archive it and you're back on this screen, then you're not going to see Bubba here. So you may forget that you need to send an email to Bubba. Oh, and I should point out, you can select multiple people at once. So you could actually change the status of all these people at once. You could send an email to all of them at once, or you could archive all of them at once. And if you want to pull up all applicants, whether they're archived or not, and then select all of them to send an email to, you could do that.
Okay. Okay, so and you know what, I think I'll get into that later on when we want to send emails out and when we don't. But I just wanted to say that then once a status is selected and it's a status where we are not going to interview that person, then they can be archived and then disappear from the list, correct?
Right. So just click on this down arrow.
And it archives.
And he's gone.
Okay.
And if I wanted to bring him back, then I could simply hit the green arrow. Okay. So how about I go in for just a little bit here and show you the applicant side of this. All right. Remember, we only had 2 jobs that we were viewing because only 2 of those were in the business unit that we were looking at. So there's Morgantown that we were looking at, more specifically the geotechnical. So that's why we saw just these 2 listings. So you've actually got 4 listings that are available out there for your applicants. Now, currently, your applicants are, oh, I know what the problem is here. Here we go. So currently, your applicants are going to your iApplicant site. So if they're coming from, or they're actually more likely going directly to job listings. So from your corporate site, if they click on the link to go and view your job listings, then they land on this site. More often than not, they're landing directly on a job listing from Indeed or other sites. Now you'll notice that the view we have here is one that if you were looking at it on your cell phone, you would be seeing kind of maybe the job titles, maybe a little bit of this. You're not going to be able to see the location unless you swipe over to this side of your cell phone screen. So it's not mobile optimized. It can be used on a mobile device, but it's not actually mobilized for that, or optimized rather for that. When you go to the news site, it is mobile optimized. We're looking at it on a computer, but if you type into your cell phone, TriadEng.applicantpool.com, you'll see not this full screen, you'll see formatted to the size of your screen, your job listings, and down below you'll see the rest of this, where an applicant can sign up for notifications to be sent to them anytime, any day that you add new job listings. They'll get notifications. They can also share these or this page with others. They can click on a job listing and similar sort of deal. So if they land here from Indeed or some other site, they're going to see the job listing information, and down below it will be where they can actually complete other information. If they have a LinkedIn profile, they can click on this link and it will fill in for them their name and their email address twice. So the email address, by the way, is what's going to be validated in this system so that you won't get duplicate applications, the same person applying for the same job more than once, because we're looking at their email address. They can share this job listing with other people, so they can share it with their Facebook friends, they can send it out on a Twitter feed or tweet, I guess, LinkedIn, however they want to share the job listing, they can do that. And in this system, if they get distracted from completing the application and they leave, but they want to return, and if they know their email address, hopefully, they can request a password. If they know the password, they can just go ahead and log in and return. So yeah, that's kind of interesting. Try this again. Oh, all right, it was coming up. All right, so here we go. So I can return to the application. I've not had that happen before. That caught me completely by surprise. So they'll see the instructions at the top, and then we actually have the separate sections. So instead of a one-page application, it gives applicants the ability to jump around if they want, but also complete part of it and return to complete the rest of it. And so when they land on the job screening questions, you can have as many as you want, and you can mark for predefined answers, you can mark any of those as disqualifiers. For those people who are coming in on mobile devices, this system makes it easier for them, or possible, because or to upload resumes or other documents. I don't know if anyone's ever tried to upload a document from a cell phone, and particularly from an iPhone. Basically can't do it. From this system, you could always go to Dropbox or Google Drive, or you could even turn a text message into a file and upload that. All right, so they can upload even more than one document. So if you've got a job where you want them to include some work product as well as their resume, as long as it's 2 megabytes or smaller and in one of these formats, then they can upload it. We do collect the EEO and other information for affirmative action, but you won't see it as part of the application that you view, but they will be putting that in when they complete their application. Everyone that completes an application receives a thank you message on screen, as well as they receive an email thank you message. If they leave the system without without completing the application, and if it's 2 days or more, then they will get, actually if it's 2 days, then by default the system's going to send them an email asking if they would like to return and complete their application prior to the job listing ending. So it's a long enough period of time to where you have a pretty good idea they weren't going to make it back on their own, but hopefully short enough to where they will remember having been here in the first place and then, oh yeah, I got distracted, and complete the application. So that's kind of it for the application process. Other than when they do go to my account, so this I think is actually the last thing, any jobs that they've applied to, they can print out those applications. They can't change what they put in for those applications except for contact information. They can update that, and they can continue any applications that they've already started. And I think that is actually it. Okay. Any questions at this point, or anything else you'd like me to cover?
Questions? Richard?